Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here, and welcome to another episode of Jambareeqi Orange, the show where I let my patrons decide what I review. The options for this episode included Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, My Hero Academia 2 Heroes, Straight Outta Nowhere, Scooby-Doo meets Courage the Cowardly Dog, 21 Jump Street, and The Haunted Mansion. They chose Curse of the Black Pearl. When Elizabeth Swann was a child, she sailed on HMS Dauntless to Jamaica with her father, but along the way, the crew came across a shipwreck and Elizabeth spotted a little boy. The boy is thankfully rescued and says his name is Will Turner, but Elizabeth finds a pirate's medallion around his neck, which she takes from him to save his life. Many years later, Elizabeth's father really wants Elizabeth to marry the well-respected Commodore Norrington, but Elizabeth's heart might be with Will. One night, a band of crooked pirates come to kidnap Elizabeth and take a medallion. You see, these pirates are the crew of the legendary ship the Black Pearl, captained by the devious Barbossa, who have been cursed with immortality after stealing Hernan Cortez's treasure. All the coins have been returned, except the one attached to Elizabeth's medallion, which was stolen by pirate Bootstrap Bill. In order to lift the curse, Bill's coin must be returned to the treasure chest and his blood has to be spilt onto the gold. Barbossa mistakes Elizabeth as Bill's daughter, and uses her blood to perform the ritual, but the curse isn't lifted, which angers the Black Pearl crew. Meanwhile, Norrington is taking too long to hatch up a rescue plan for Elizabeth. Will resorts to freeing the recently arrested Jack Sparrow, so that Jack can help Will save Elizabeth from the Black Pearl. Jack then realizes that Will is the son of Bootstrap Bill, which means that Barbossa actually needs Will's blood to lift the curse, and that gives Jack a leverage over Barbossa. So, making a film about pirates can come with its moral baggage, because they're historically known for being villains of the sea who pillage, assault, and murder. I mean, Disney's decision to make a family-friendly film with a pirate hero lead could be criticised as revisionist filmmaking. Jack and his crew are less realistic versions of pirates, and more representations of the pirate spirit. In a lawful world, pirates can be seen as symbols of rebellion, anarchy, and freedom. These kinds of pirates might not have existed in time, but there's an appeal to nautical punks who go against the norm, break the rules, and don't respect authorities of the land, all while being the more honourable side when compared to Barbossa's crew of savage barbarians. With the exception of our main bad guys, you can't simply slap good or evil onto most of our characters, because the film challenges what makes a righteous person. This is what I love about this movie. It's not a simple good versus evil story, because this is a movie in which rules are broken to save the day, those in charge care more about traditions and rules than fair trials, and some pirates are capable of heroism. So where does this film's popularity come from? Well, the thing is, the movie's appeal can't be summed up with just one aspect, because so much about this film really works. But let's not beat around the sea shrub. We all know that Jack Sparrow is the biggest reason why this film was a huge success. I can totally see why too. Before his character was milked dry in the sequels, he was quite an endearing eccentric pirate in the first movie. Quirky but charming, frequently drunk but still witty.
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
For most of the film, he's a neutral force, someone who only looks out for himself. This is what makes him such an exciting character in the story. We get to see him con his way out of being caught or killed, as he convinces one side how to one-up the other side, all while he keeps the ball in his court. But there's also this enigmatic mystery to him that makes him very alluring. We hear lots of stories about him, but what are the real facts? Who is Jack Sparrow the myth, and who is Jack Sparrow the man?
Then on the fourth morning, he roped himself a couple of sea turtles, lashed them together and made a raft.
He roped a couple of sea turtles.
Aye, sea turtles.
As the movie goes on, we do come to realise that his legend has been exaggerated, and behind all the fantastical tales, he's just a rum-loving sailor trying to get by. However, that's not to say that he hasn't deserved his fame, because he's still one of the smarter and more heroic pirates of the seas. Now, Will has often been labelled as the boring one, but I think that's a harsh assessment. Yes, he's very much the straight man and an audience surrogate, but those are important roles in a pirate adventure because there's codes to learn and myths to unravel. He does also have his own arc throughout the movie too. He feels like he owes a debt to the upper class society who saved his life, hence why he respects those in charge, and doesn't try to step on any toes. However, once he gets wrapped up in the world of pirates, and learns that his dad was actually a pirate, he begins to question himself.
It wasn't your blood they needed. It was my father's blood. My blood. The blood of a pirate.
Only to find a newfound confidence when embracing his pirate heritage. Elizabeth is a character I'm unsure about. Many praise her as a feminist icon, but others have criticised her for falling into too many sexist cliches, and I can see both sides of the argument. On the one hand, she's a strong-willed and brave woman who shows more courage and gusto than other characters in the movie. She also knows how to have an advantage over the more egotistical people around her. Whether she's testing her power over the Black Pearl pirates...
Fine. Well, I suppose if it is worthless, then there's no point in me keeping it.
or using the Commodore's desire for marriage to do the right thing.
Commodore, I beg you, please do this. For me. As a wedding gift.
On the other hand, nearly every man in the film wants to sleep with her, so she's often reduced to being a prize for the men to fight over, or uncomfortably hit on.
Must be really terrible for you to be trapped on this island.
Oh, yes. But the company is infinitely better than last time, and
She also doesn't get a chance to emotionally bond with the only other female character in the movie as well, which is quite a mismark for a supposed feminist character. Oh, and she can be quite ditzy from time to time. Like she forgets that she's dealing with cunning, lawless criminals.
You have to take me to shore! According to the code of the Order of the Brethren!
First, your return to shore was not part of our negotiations nor our agreement, so I must do nothing. And secondly, you must be a pirate for the Pirates' Code to apply, and you're not. And thirdly, the code is more what you'd call guidelines than actual rules.
So yeah, I want to love the writing for her character, because she's definitely a step up for 2000 standards, but the film also indulges in some poor cliches. Norrington is a very straight and stubborn Commodore, but he does end up hesitantly listening to Jack Sparrow's ideas to get an advantage over Barbossa.
I don't care for the situation. Any attempt to storm the caves could turn to an ambush.
not if you're the one doing the ambushing. I go in, I convinced Barbossa to send his men out with their little boats. You and your mates return to the Dauntless and blast the bejesus out of them with your little cannons, eh?
And when Elizabeth admits that she loves Will, Norrington respects her wishes and doesn't abuse his powers to get his way.
So this is where your heart truly lies, then?
It is.
At its heart though, Curse of the Black Pearl is very much a ghost story. I think what makes it an effective horror tale is how the Black Pearl itself is built up as this creepy legend. When Elizabeth spots the ship as a child, it looks like a spectral figure haunting the sea. Plus characters describe the Black Pearl with convincing fear and dismay. It's almost like the ship is a villain in its own right.
Black Pearl? I've heard stories. She's been preying on ships and settlements for near 10 years. Never leaves any survivors.
No survivors. Then where do the stories come from, I wonder?
The curse is pretty disturbing too when you think about it. Barbossa himself is a cruel and barbaric man, but you can see that he's been suffering for too long in the agony of being undead, and his crew share that same anguish.
For too long I've been parched of thirst and unable to quench it. Too long I've been starving to death and haven't died. I feel nothing. Not the wind on my face, nor the spray of the sea.
While you could argue that the zombie effects haven't aged well, the dark lighting helps hide their flaws, and there's a Ray Harryhausen charm to them that I find kind of endearing. Another thing I love about this movie is the memorable dialogue. There's not a single line in this film that I think sounds corny or worth cutting. Everyone's conversations sound natural, yet their language can often be quite tongue-in-cheek, and expositional dialogue is often laced with rich poetry or comedic irony.
I must admit, Jack, I thought I had you figured. It turns out you're a hard man to predict.
Me, I'm dishonest. And a dishonest man you can always trust to be dishonest. Honestly. It's the honest ones you want to watch out for.
It's like a masterclass in putting flavour into a screenplay. From the humorous back and forth banter.
We're gonna steal the ship. That ship?
Commandeer. We're going to commandeer that ship, Nautical Town. One question about your business, boy. There's no use going. Let's go. How far are you willing to go to save her?
I'd die for her.
Oh, good. No worries then.
To one-liners that punctuate a scene with style.
He spent 3 days lying on a beach drinking rum.
Welcome to the Caribbean, love.
I think I only remember one line from the sequels. but the original film was plastered with loads of dialogue that's still quotable to this day, and that's a major reason why the film has become such a big part of pop culture. This is also an action blockbuster, but the action scenes aren't an excuse to fill time, because every fight or battle has a purpose. For example, when we get to dueling sequence, it's not just fancy choreography, there's narrative depth going on. The fight between Will and Jack is a chance for the two to bond before they later join forces.
Excellent form. But how's your footwork? If I step here... Very good. And now I step again. Ta.
But we also get to learn more about Will, from being an underappreciated blacksmith's apprentice to his secret crush on Elizabeth.
You need to find yourself a girl, mate. Or perhaps the reason you practice 3 hours a day is that you already found one and are otherwise incapable of wooing said strumpet.
Each piece of choreography has been specifically designed to either develop a character or build chemistry between our male leads, all while Will has an advantage over Jack because they're fighting in Will's workplace. Then later in the finale we get a duel between Jack and Barbossa, which is more than your basic average hero versus villain showdown. You see, Jack ends up joining the curse by stealing a coin. So we're basically watching two immortal pirates stuck in a loop of sword fighting for an eternity, and the audience is left wondering how it will end. For a Disney blockbuster action climax, that's quite existentially nihilistic, like the duel is showing how pointless all this fighting really is. To conclude, the countless Pirates of the Caribbean sequels have unfortunately soured the franchise's reputation, but many forget that the first movie is a genuinely well-made popcorn flick that's extremely fun, wonderfully witty, and full of personality. It's really worth revisiting. So those are my thoughts on The Curse of the Black Pearl. What did you think of this movie? Let everyone know in the comments section below, and don't forget to click that like button. So, what am I going to be reviewing in the next episode of Jambareeqi Orange? Well, that's actually up to my patrons. The options for the next episode include Halloween, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, Alvin and the Chipmunks Meet Frankenstein, The Sixth Sense, Who's Heffalump Halloween Movie, and The Halloween Tree. Don't forget that you have to be a patron in order to access this poll. What is a patron? Don't worry, I'll explain. This is my Patreon. It's a site for my fans to support me financially on through a monthly basis. Those who donate are called patrons. Patrons can donate as much as they want and are welcome to stop donating anytime. In return for their generosity, patrons are given exciting rewards based on their pledge amount. These rewards include early access to my videos before they go up publicly on YouTube, behind the scenes content, their name in the end credits of my videos, a chance to request a review of anything at all, and much more. Can't wait to find out what my patrons want me to review next on the show. Cheerio, folks.